Mother effort, son of a... Ugh, thank you, Eric boy. Thank you for notifying me that I'm muted. That sucks. Yo, I swear, like, I think about as soon as I find my misplaced voice recorder, Eric, I am going to, my God, that sucks. Yo, I'm tempted to end the stream and start a new stream right now just to fix that because, we got no audio on this, man. I was doing a bunch of shit here and now I got to start over. So I better make this into a recording. All right, so this is the astrophotography log or my astro log for Friday, September 1st, 4:39 a.m. Basically, earlier I was imaging the Pac-Man Nebula. In fact, I recorded a astrophotography log segment already, but I may not get around to uploading it, or I might remix it with this. I don't know. I just wanted to go and pop into a live stream and, say what up. So, we say what up to Eric. I don't have the overlay thing enabled right now, or I could enable it, but, why go to the extra effort? We see the name here, we see the chat, boom, we're good, right? So anyway, I was talking about this application, Deep Sky Stacker. And so from the top, when I take a picture with this telescope, you're going to see how these fuzzy objects are the stars, and notice they're dancing. And yet, what are these white points of light here that are not dancing? Well, basically, these are hot pixels. These are like, imperfections on the image sensor, or perhaps, it depends. Like, for example, under hotter temperatures, the image sensor will convert heat into photons, into electrons. Because normally it converts photons into electrons. In this case, it can convert heat into electrons instead. So how do we deal with this? Because when I stack these images, I can get better dynamic range. Because look, this is the Pac-Man Nebula here. Let's zoom out. We can make some adjustments to it if we want to reveal, more nebulosity, or at least get more contrast. See, we got like a little, like it looks like a little Pac-Man head there. And there's definitely different ways you can adjust it. You can crank up the brightness there. You can bring down the darkness like that. But you definitely got that like little triangular face. And ultimately what happens is you would take like a dozen or more images of that object. Then you would drag and drop them into this application here. And when you drag and drop them as a group or as an individual, this program will ask you, is this a light? Is it a dark? Is it a flat? And basically a light frame is, whatever it is that you're trying to take a picture of, the target, the object, the astro imaging target, that is your light frame. And generally, at bare minimum, I want to have a bunch of lights, basically identical images of the same target. Oh, shoot. That's interesting. I got to check that in a minute. Or you want to have like a bunch of, images of the same target that are, taken around the same time, ideally, hopefully. And then you want to have a bunch of dark frames. And a dark frame is literally when you put the lens cap on the telescope and take pictures using the same settings that you used for taking the pictures. So in this case, 5-minute time exposure, or it doesn't say it here right now, but it would be a 300-second exposure. Same settings over here. Temperature set to -15. And hopefully around the same time. But, I've used a pretty old dark frame sometimes. But the idea is that in a dark frame, it will show all of these hot pixels. So, for example, you can see, like, if I zoom in real close here, next to these fuzzy stars, you got these bright white dots. Here, that's a star right there. That's a star. This might not be a star, but these are definitely like hot pixels. And so if these come up in all of the images consistently, the program will, be able to distinguish between this and, these two stars and these hot pixels. And essentially all of the black frames will contain nothing but these white squares. And so basically Deep Sky Stacker can, whoops, I didn't show the right screen. So yeah, these white squares will come up when I take a black image, when I cover the frame, when I cover the lens cap. You're going to get these white squares. These are not stars. This is a star. That is a star. These are hot pixels, these perfectly, bright squares. And so if you put the lens cap on and you take a picture with the same settings and it only has these white squares, now when you combine it using Deep Sky Stacker with the, images of the desired target, it will know to subtract these white squares from the rest of the image. And that's super important because if we don't do that, weird things happen. And I can demonstrate, for example, if we open up two images together, you're going to see that they dance. So if I go and you can see this side to side dance thing happening, and we can zoom in on it a little more. Notice how the white pixels move, or how the foreground moves separate from the white pixels. Basically the stars and those white pixels are moving separately. So we need to separate those from the image when we do our post-processing. That's the important thing. And let's see, let's double check the chat. Oh, we got our friend Slimming here. Hey, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for dropping a like. And yeah, man, you guys both have a good night, whenever you go to sleep. So anyway, now we did not capture a successful plate solving image. This is a travesty. How do we fix this? Well, we're going to try to fix it right now. First and foremost, we're going to go back to all sky plate solver. We're going to pray. Okay, we're not going to pray, but we are going to hope that the software will do what we want it to do. So last image taken around this time. So if I go to the bottom of this list, take that image, it should compare the constellations to the star map. And then it should be able to like realign this reticle, which is on the target now. But it gave me an error message. Why did it give me an error message? I don't know. But maybe this time I'll pay attention to it. I won't stray away from it and lose attention, And we'll see what happens. But beyond that, and tomorrow, guys, tomorrow, do you know the YouTuber Ryan Raja Afni? Well, tomorrow he's going to have the first episode of a show called Reality-Based Gaming. Look, see? Private chat. Although I probably shouldn't show that. But no, jokes aside, like, yeah, he is going to have the first episode of Reality-Based Gaming tomorrow. And basically, he does a show called Reality-Based. It's sort of like, about being based in reality. Oh, shit, Action Man's on. I mean, his name ain't Action Man. I mean, it is and it isn't. John Wayne is on. I wonder what his name is going to be for September. Because, oh, it's September already? Oh, I got to drop him a chat. Dude. It's September. I wonder which name. Let's see if he. I don't think my audio is not on. Okay, we gotta put it on the audio, make it live. Because remember, every month he's got a different name. Okay, he's like, like first time I met this dude, it was February, and his name was like Fantastic Ferengi Federation February or some shit like that. And it was like long and impossible to pronounce. And he'd jump in my chat to say, what up? And I'd be sitting there going, hey, what up there? Fantastic Ferengi Federation February friend. And who's this hot girl chatting? Well, she's a mod, so it must be a friend. So I can't knock her. I mean, he might have just made like a spammer a mod. Okay, I wouldn't put it past him. Like, that would be hilarious. But then again, the person is really friendly. They're saying conquer the world. So, maybe it's not even a girl. Maybe it's just a dude who's got a sense of humor. Or maybe she's just advertising. Well, no doubt, don't be sorry. And being tired means you'll get a good night's sleep. So that's good. And thanks for hitting the like button. And hopefully I do something more interesting. But yeah, tomorrow, Ryan Roger Afty will be doing reality-based. 1 p.m. New York, no, 6 p.m. New York time. I think it's like 11 p.m. English time. So yeah, check out Ryan Roger Afty if you want to see the pilot episode of reality-based gaming. We will be talking about, I will be at least bringing up the topic of flash cartridges, backup devices, for mainly backing up your game saves, modded Xboxes, and some of my favorite one of my favorite gamepad designs. And some of the exotic features of the DS5 controller. I just bought one of these for like my PC gaming basically, and the triggers alone are very weird. Like, I did this in my late night stream last night. I was playing with the settings, and like you could pretty much control the level of resistance on the triggers. And if you're a game developer, well, for PlayStation 5, the game developers would actually make it, vibrate if you're, driving a car, or if you're pulling a lever, it'll actually give that feel like it can simulate those types of force feedback on the triggers. So that's kind of cool. But in playing the rally car racing game, which I might play in a moment, oh man, this plate solving does not look like it's going to work. That does not look like it's going to work. That is not a good sign. When it says it's taking 200 seconds, that is not good. Excuse my coughing sound. So anyway, we could maybe try to see if it can work with another image better. You know what I think is happening? It's too close to the meridian. Sometimes when it's too close to the celestial North Pole, sometimes the plate solving gets really confused when you bring it into that region of sky, and that's kind of just a fact of life. So anyway, we'll see. We're gonna retry, and in the meantime, I'm gonna scan the sky, see if there's another target that is easy to capture in the now. Ideally, I want to keep it on this side of the sky because that might be buy me some time against twilight. Bubble Nebula, that looks kind of cool. This one looks like it would be a real pain in the ass to capture. Like, what is the magnitude of Pac-Man Nebula? 7.4, yeah. This is a magnitude 10. The higher the number, the harder it is to see the object. So this Bubble Nebula ain't showing up much. But if you could capture it, it looks really cool. I mean, you could capture it. This is one of those targets where you have to have like somewhat ideal conditions. You probably have to not live near the city like I do, or have a different set of filters than I'm utilizing to block light pollution. And then you could probably pull it off. But it's like one of those objects where it takes like 20 hours of integration of, you know, raw imaging data to you know, get something out of it. So yeah. I'm thinking about playing a game. Yeah, that's not looking good. So anyway, we're gonna keep scanning the sky. Maybe we can find a nice star cluster. Ooh. Well, Andromeda is a pain in the ass. We could give Andromeda a shot. It's not gonna be like quite rotated, right? You see that red square? But this is definitely like one of those targets that take a lot of imaging time. Now, they say it's a magnitude of 3.4, but really, that's only the center of the damn thing from what I can figure. You know, it comes up as a bright, fuzzy star. And frankly, since the plate solving isn't doing its thing, let's pick a new target. So I just told the computer to aim at... Wait, is it not obeying my command? It is not obeying my command? How dare you not obey my command, computer? I paid his telescope millions of dollars and it won't aim. Oh, there we go. Okay, we coerced it into aiming. So now we are aiming or training our scope on Andromeda. So we're giving this the new name, Andromeda. Or we can call it M31. But I already started typing, so we're gonna just call it Andromeda. Now, one thing I really got, yeah, I don't hope it rains soon, but next time I'm expecting a ton of rain, I really will bring my telescope inside because, I mean, my computer inside because, like, I've been meaning to do an overhaul on that laptop forever. Oh, there you go. Look at that. See, that is Andromeda. You can literally see the center of the galaxy. That's what I'm talking about. Like, see that, like, that bright part in the middle? That's what we're seeing right here. So we can maybe put up our crosshair. We can make it like a nice wide one if we want. But basically, we want this thing in the center of our frame. We can do it manually, or we can use plate solving. And I'm going to use plate solving. So basically, assuming that the reason it wasn't working before was because I was aiming away from the meridian or too close to the celestial North Pole, I mean, then this might work. So we'll give it like 1 exposure, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. Plate solve. And now, yeah, I'm like so tempted right now to try out that game, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I got it in my Steam library. I mean, like, I don't really want to play the part where you're on the ground. I just want to play the part when you're, like, flying the ship. Unfortunately, I already watched it on YouTube, so maybe I should wait till I'm ready to sit down and really play a game. I could play my race car game, maybe. Dirt Rally 2.0. I gotta say, that game, like, I've had some fun with it. I'm really glad my PlayStation controller works with it. Currently, I use the PlayStation controller using the USB cable. It seems to work better that way. I mean, it works. It actually works. Let's put it that way. But, you know, we're going to see. So right now we're waiting for the plate solving the process up there. And I'm just kind of combing my game library now. I added the game Star Trek Resurgence to my Steam library, but it's really an Epic's game title. I will be uploading some footage from that game. In fact, I want to upload the entire game, like the gameplay of it, you know. I still never tried Battletech. I have it. Never tried it. Everspace could be fun. This game is weird. It's alright. It's just formulaic. Star Wars Dark Forces 2. Now, this is a classic. I have a copy of it in the GOG games library. I don't know. I don't think it. I think it's more optimized on the GOG games library, but really, yeah, that's not the type of game you play when you're like last minute because it is you got to really adjust settings on it to like get it to cooperate. Like it's using like Windows 98 settings basically, so it gets a little sketchy. Hey, what up, Ryan? Oh, dude, I was just talking about you. I was just telling people about, yeah, reality-based gaming. I believe that is as confirmed. What was that? Time tomorrow. That's like 1 p.m. No, 6 p.m. New York time, I believe. Yeah, 11 p.m. your time. But good morning to you. I'm guessing. Well, is it? No, it's not morning. Well, whatever. You get the idea. So anyway, I'm just kind of like getting the last few minutes of astro imaging in before sunset. There we go. This is how I do overlays, actually. Kind of like I usually put this on my third monitor, but tonight my third monitor is occupied doing this job here. In fact, I should copy pasta the chat overlay up there. But yo, Ryan, I got some toys to show tomorrow, you know, for the show. But of course, you know, you tell us what you want us to talk about. But I will bring my goodies. I will bring my flash cartridge, my N64 flash cartridge. I will bring my Game Boy backup device. I use this basically just to back up game save data from 20-year-old Pokemon cartridges so that I can replace the battery, or at least I can use the same old battery without worrying about major data loss. You know, so I'll bring some goodies with me. I'll have my Game Boy Micro on hand, which I really, you know, I don't know once again if this is going to be like a broad, you know, gaming in general or something specific, but I got some gaming device that a couple of unique things. Cool, the more the merrier. I like that. Okay, so yeah, then we should be golden. And so yeah, you said 10 a.m. UK time. So in that case, I should be able to confirm with Mr. Google UK time to New York. And that is, well, 10 p.m. Okay, it's not gonna, I wrote a.m. for some reason. But yeah, 5 p.m. Okay, good. So if it's, then in that case, 5 p.m., not 6 p.m. Good. I'm glad that we double checked and confirmed it just now. That works. So yeah, this plate solving thing is pissing me off. Normally, it's supposed to compare a star map to the picture I just took. Oh, it does start 11. Oh, I got you. It's 10 a.m. I'm sorry, my brain is, it's 5 a.m. here for the record. 4:56 a.m. But gosh, okay, good. Then even better. That means the show starts at 6 p.m. my time. But you know, you should lie to me. Tell me it starts an hour early to guarantee I'm on time. But I'm kidding. I'll be on time. I'll definitely be on time. But, but yeah, if you ever want to ensure someone's on time, just tell them the shit starts a half hour earlier than it does. So let's see here. Yeah, this is supposed to do that, but it's not doing it. Is disobeying me? Yep, it's really not. Check the processing log file. We probably should check the log file. Oh, wait. That reminds me. No, at 11 megapixels, 16-bit color mode. But unless we're doing like a 10-second time exposure, we're getting, I think, sufficient detail in the star map, but we can crank it up. We can bring it up to like another, like, you know, 9 point something seconds. That's not an issue. Yeah, so my method of doing chat overlays would be good if I was monetized, because I can actually show super chats this way. Like if I was like, you know, if I had a channel of monetization, this method, clicking over here, would actually show super chats and custom emojis. But it has some caveats. Like for example, I have to make the window really wide to ensure the text fits on the screen. 2, I can't scroll up and down unless I click on this menu. But every time I click on somebody's message, it brings the menu up. So it's like, this menu comes up and make the menu go away, I technically have to like click on the 3-dot button, and then only then can I scroll up and down if there's a scroll bar. So that's the downside of this method of doing chat overlays, just in case, you know, just for reference. But anyway, getting back on topic here. So top display, looks a little fuzzy there. Okay, let's bring up the thing. We got some stars in there. Now we're gonna do that. You know, a week ago, I was arguing with some Tricoms about, you know, the American GPS constellation being made available to people in Southeast Asia. Some guy was like, "Oh man, they take away the GPS and our ship gets lost in the ocean." It's like a freight ship, and I'm saying to the guy, "What do you mean? Nobody on your ship knows how to use a marine sextant?" And he's like, "Oh man, it's so old school." I'm like, "Yeah, so you should still know. You should still, when you're out on the high seas." You know, be prepared for anything, you know, have some redundancy. A sextant is like a little scope with like some glass prisms on it and like almost like a protractor. You point at the sky and you get the angles, and as long as you have a really accurate watch, a marine sextant will allow you to basically get a pretty accurate location fix. And so during World War II in the submarine service, they would actually use a marine sextant to, you know, check the stars. And if they didn't have that, they had other ways of navigating, but this was like pretty much the definitive way to make sure you were on course. 1,700 subs, nice. Yeah, man, I know. I was just talking to my pops today about how, you know, YouTube suppression works, and at least as I understand, like I've never experienced it, but kind of too small to experience it. But from what I understand, people would describe scenarios where they gain a shit ton of subs. Let's say they gain like 100 subs or something in a day, and then they'll lose 40 of those subs over the course of the day or the week or something like that. And you know, sometimes I think people are really quick to blame. Oh, that's cool. See these little crisscrossing lines here? Those are either airplanes or satellites, if I had to guess. But it's kind of interesting that we see them crisscrossing right there. But you know, like there's like a devil's advocate argument, you know, with regard to the thing. You know, like I think sometimes people could be overly paranoid, but I think when somebody sees like the subscribers drop abruptly after making a significant gain, that, you know, hits their personal radar, and rightfully so. And I'm sure, like, oh, that reminds me, I still got to collect stats. Weeks ago, I took some screenshots of my phone for you, Ryan, and I wanted to do it for my desktop browser and get like good data that you could work with, because, like I said, my most popular video is absolutely absurd. Okay, it's like literally 7 seconds of absurdity, and yet this video has been my most popular video. And as my channel grew, that video has like jumped logarithmically. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're right, Dusty Lamborghini. It is stupid that we've lost the art in the old ways of navigation. I mean, this is like almost like a fun hobby. And there were people I was reading about who said that when they had an incident where something was malfunctioning, they ended up learning how to, you know, use a sextant, and they said it was like actually fun. They got some enjoyment out of it. So, you know, there are people out there who I think can appreciate that type of skill set, or, you know, are willing to learn it. But too many people, like especially with people who, well, I think they were just really just going for weaponizing the narrative. You know, they wanted to say that this evil empire is so evil because we don't share our GPS constellation with everyone. And yeah, look, we got military goals. Every country has military objectives. They will choose to share or not share their GPS. Japan decided they didn't want to be at anyone's mercy, so they created their own navigation system, you know, navigation satellite constellation, and that works in their own country. Hell, they probably implement a bunch of features on it that work really well inside Japan, and it doesn't need to operate elsewhere. They didn't need to launch enough satellites to cover the whole world. And, you know, India ended up doing that because we denied them. And you know what? India is probably stronger because we denied them access to that thing. And if China wants to share their GPS constellation, their new generation Baidu satellite constellation with everyone, and show they're so nice, okay, by all means, you know, but don't come crying when they're using it for data collection or something. Which, I mean, there are some two-way data capabilities in there, but they're not necessarily mandatory. It's just they're part of like some of the functionality, like emergency text messages and things of that nature. But you know, I can see how those could be, you know, misused, and maybe you shouldn't rely on China's version of GPS if that's a concern, you know. But yeah, I do find it fascinating, the whole, you know, method of navigating the old ways. I was watching Vikings, and I know that TV show Vikings, I think there's like 3 versions of it, but the one I saw with that Ragnar guy, I don't think it was completely historically accurate, but I understand they combined multiple like people from like 40, 60 generations, separate generations. They combined them into like the same generation to like make the story more interesting. But you know, like Ragnar gets his hand on a piece of quartz, and even on a cloudy day, he could see the polarized light. And we're now looking at a star named Attic. But yeah, so by seeing the polarized light, you can sort of navigate even without directly seeing the sun. So that was a significant move. But you know, it's like anything else. We build upon the previous innovation. So anyway, right now, we're going to just rename this one. We're going to rename it Attic because that's A-T-I-K. Whoops. Okay, well, I guess we'll just type that in. One of the reasons I got to bring in this laptop for a physical maintenance overhaul is to basically just fix that issue where it has a typing lag when I'm typing up there. But anywho, we got, you know, we can see the star. We're going to say capture. And let's see if the plate solving works this time. It really should, because like there's times where, no doubt, brother, man, good luck, Godspeed. See you in the afternoon. See you in my early evening and your late evening. And you also have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, Ryan. So now let's see if the plate solving works here. Okay, we got one image. I always like to wait for the second image to capture just in case there's some like alignment thing going on. Refresh, refresh, refresh. There we go. Plate solve. And now we're going to start rolling into sunrise soon. So it becomes more and more pointless for me to bother. But I want to try. Now, the moon is setting on this side of the sky, so that could be a disadvantage. I got some great pictures of the moon before. So those, when I process the lunar images, I think those are going to really pop out. I captured a bunch of them using the 47 megapixel resolution. Or at least 47 megapixel density, because I did crop the image sensor to help, you know, reduce the data size. I didn't want to have like a monster. Oh, that's I think I actually made it worse here. So basically, if an object is too close to the celestial North Pole, this circle up in my northern sky at 41 degrees, which matches my latitude, that will make it hard for the automatic alignment or plate solving. So we move away from that, but we also don't want to be too close to the meridian. And we're basically right, we're getting near the meridian. But let's hope this works. So anyway, if it doesn't, I'm clueless. Like, I don't know why this application suddenly stopped working. Like, at that point, I will review the log and see if I can maybe, you know, determine if there's some, like, you know, discrepancy. Maybe the software is misreporting the settings in the picture or something like that. But we'll give it an opportunity. Usually, it shouldn't take more than 90 seconds for this to process. And usually when it processes, it's a beautiful thing. Like, you'll see the target HUD shift to the correct position so that you can actually aim at the desired target. If it refuses to do that, well, let's see what happens. Let's see. We'll give it a chance. Give it a chance. Did I get paid yet? Yeah, I'll check my phone later. I should get paid in the middle of the night. Not that it matters. I mean, you know, just you can buy some useless junk on Amazon, you know. Yeah, that's not making me optimistic seeing this thing do this. Now, actually, let's be real here. I don't need plate solving, really, like, since I'm already aiming at the target. See, there's like times of the year where the telescope's mechanisms are like way, way, way out of whack. And plate solving becomes super handy, like in the winter. But right now, I think we're actually, like, we're basically on target. So we got bright star, and we got 2, right? So I'm guessing, no, I'd much rather have plate solving at my disposal, darn it. Gosh darn it. Okay, so let's think about this here. I guess we gotta wait for the stupid app to error out so that we can review the log file and see why it's erroring out on us. It's a waste of time, but you know. In the meantime, we could maybe review some of the images we've already captured. And, you know, in fact, let's see here. Oh, we got some stuff from last week, like the Eastern Veil Nebula. That was kind of cool. Yeah, and you know what? I should show the Pac-Man Nebula because I already have that up down here. So if we go to my main screen here, you can see right here. If I zoom out, and then I make some adjustments, see that? That's looks like something, doesn't it? That is Pac-Man. And we can also see an example of Pac-Man up here. See, same target basically. This red square represents the image sensor chip on my telescope. Although sometimes the image gets reversed, which is to be expected. I can always flip it back. It's not a big deal. And you can see like that's the open mouth. And so essentially what you would do is you'd combine these, you'd stack these, and you'd get better contrast by combining multiple copies of the same image or separate images of the same target. But I have to go outside, I guess, as the sun begins to rise and put the lens cap on the telescope. Because what I want to do is I want to build a dark library. Because these white pixels here are not stars. These are stars. These white dots are basically hot pixels. These are like imperfections in our image sensor. And we can demonstrate that by alternating between like two images if we really wanted to. I did it earlier in the stream, during the part of the stream when my microphone was muted. That was annoying. But see, you can see the stars are moving side to side. So if I zoom in, whoops. There we go. So you can see the nebula is moving side to side, but yet this white dot here, these white dots, even these gray dots here, they're only 1 pixel in size. They're perfect squares. They're not stars. They're not multiple pixels. They're single pixels. So essentially what we do is we put the lens cap on and we take pictures, multiple pictures, using the same settings that we use for taking this picture here, or these two pictures that we're alternating between. And then when we run it through the processing software, it's going to subtract the white dots. It's going to subtract everything that was seen in the black frame that isn't visible, or that it's going to subtract everything that's in the black frame and only leave the stars and all of the normal pixels there. So basically that's what because we want to preserve the stars. We want to preserve the shading detail from the nebula. But if we keep these stationary objects here, it wreaks havoc. In fact, they come up as like little streaks in the final image, which is a disaster. So we definitely don't want that. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. So back to the top display. Let's see if the plate solving finished yet. Oh, it did. Did it? No, it did not. Oh, it did and it didn't. So anyway, let's see. Check the focal length, size, blah, blah, blah in the settings menu. All right, let's check it. So that is the correct setting. I have a 4.63 micron image sensor with the current settings. My focal length is about 554 millimeters. It worked before. Ignore thing for, okay, so it ignores it. It can calculate it on its own. These are the settings if I tell this program to do its own plate solving, which I don't. Although I guess I could take a chance and see what happens if it does it on its own. And there is a diagnostic tool, but first, yeah, I mean, that looks fine. Okay, let's go and do the diagnostic. So if I remember correctly, it's going to be Settings Assistant. Select Unsolved Image. It's just like the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. Remember that TV show? And you have the guy with the nasally voice and like, this is unsolved mystery. Oh, woohoo! That is a freaking problem. That is the problem right there. So this ignorant application here, for some reason, thinks that I'm taking pictures with 2 micron-sized pixels when I'm not, which can cause me some real big problems down the road. It might mean that I will be forced to like eyeball the resolution and change that in the config file. Luckily, I could do that, but that means I may have to add an extra step to my post-processing, which means I better do the post-processing sooner than later because I'm going to forget to do that step, to perform that step. So what I just did now was I disconnected the camera and I reconnected the camera. Now I do have a preset. We're going to just manually pick the settings, make sure everything's right. So we got 11 megapixels, 16-bit color. We're going to use automatic mode, but it's going to pick the FITS format, which is basically like an uncompressed image. It's almost like a RAW. It's currently in the middle of exposing the first exposure. We're going to put the cooling unit in automatic mode, but we're going to set it to negative 15 degrees Celsius. There we go. So now it's saying, now these guys are too lazy to put like 100%. So it's 0 to 255, but you could convert 0 to 255 into like, right now it's clearly at 50% power basically. And That's good. You don't want it ever at 100% power when it's trying to maintain a temperature. This is the setting that maintains the temperature of the image sensor, because heat turns into electrons, and we only want to convert photons into electrons. We don't want to convert, we do not want to convert electrons. We don't want to convert like heat into photons. Well, I'm mixing these up here. I'm sorry. Bottom line is we only want to convert photons into electrons because that's what we're getting a picture with. We're not getting a picture out of heat. That would not be helpful. Okay, so anyway, we got the picture here, right? So we got this. Let's just tell it to snap off. We'll go back to the plate solving. This time it should work. I don't know why it got confused because I don't remember having that issue before. In fact, wait a second. Yeah, 4.63. That is the correct setting. Now it should actually process this at warp speed. It should process it very quickly. So remember, once again, we were looking at the star named Attic, which is this bright blue, I think it's like a blue giant or some crazy shit. Rotating variable double star. So I don't know if this is a double star. Or if it's referring to the neighbor down here. Or if these are double stars here. But they're pretty widely spaced if they're double stars. I have a feeling the single star that we can see is the double star, because that's like an actual thing people do in this hobby. They will make a point of like resolving double stars. They'll be like, zoom in as close as possible, and thanks, until you can see it. Now you're not really zooming in, just using a big wide aperture, but yeah, like a telescope with a narrower field of view will be able to distinguish double stars if it's got, a quality imaging train behind it. I will be super swashbuckling Sonic Soprano September of the Wild Wild West. Wow. Sonic Soprano September of the Wild Wild West. That is this month's new name for our friend right here, John Wayne. Photons and electrons are awesome. Did you know that? Oh, it worked. Okay, good. Yeah, so that software's stupid ass glitch is the reason why I did this a dozen times. I wasted like a half hour of imaging time. We're getting close to sunrise, damn. Sunrise is at 6 o'clock. I could probably already see the sky light up. I cannot see the sky light up yet, but we're dealing with limited time here. So do we go back to the Pac-Man Nebula? Maybe. Yeah, the gremlins are like me not checking the damn friggin' pixel size because I had the right setting, but it didn't have the right setting. Yeah, gremlins, so to speak. So anyway, we're currently using the red filter, so we're using it. Oh yeah, let's do it. Okay, so anyway, when I did the plate solving, I should show you what happened. We were pointing at this blue star. Now notice the target is now pointing over here. So I need to recenter the target. Boom. Now we're on the target. It's going to create some streaking here. But once we start exposing, I'm confident that this will be, good. So anyway, wow, there's like nothing visible in the auto guiding software here. That's okay. We can use this one star. So I'm going to lower the gain a lot. Okay, so that's going to be at lock now. We just click that. Make sure it's not dancing around the screen too much. And we tell it lock. So now this will send corrective pulses to the motor on the mount. And that's so that we don't have these stars gradually processing across the screen while trying to take a 5-minute exposure. But we don't need a 5-minute exposure for this group of stars right here. These are obscenely bright already. I mean, like, that's without stretching the histogram. Yeah, I mean, like, do I really want... I want to do the Pac-Man Nebula, but 5-minute exposures, I'm just afraid of sunrise. Let's take a look. Let's see how sunrise is going to be looking right now. I got to replace... So, oh yeah, the reason it was important that I get paid today is because I need to order another direct burial Ethernet cable for my backyard because I need to run a new cable to my surveillance camera. So, okay, it's 5:18 a.m. New York time. Now, watch what happens when I fast forward. Okay, so 5:50. So, in about a half hour's time, we're already going to be like hitting twilight. You know, you can see the entire sky is going to freaking glow. So, I probably shouldn't even bother imaging at this point. I think I should just say I'm happy that you know, we solved the issue we were having. Or maybe we get some quick exposures. Like maybe we do get some quick pictures. So right now we're on 18-second exposures. Is that enough? I reckon it's gonna have to be enough. So let's fire off. So we're gonna just call this Attic. And we're gonna tell it to capture like a bunch of pictures of it. It says 500, but probably just capture like 5 or 10 each. Not even these. This isn't even a nebula. So there's not a lot to capture here. If anything, what I would want to do is get like at least a couple of obscenely bright images because like I want the star to maybe like have that cool, you know, starburst look. Although you don't get those cool cross patterns. You ever see like a picture from the Hubble Space Telescope and the stars look like they got like that cross shape to them? Like it's like that. They call them diffraction spikes. They got like spikes coming off the side, spikes coming off the top. Well, that happens because any telescope that has a mirror in it, if there's any kind of bracket or metal railing suspending it, you basically have an obstruction. You have something like a little like obstruction where the light is passing by. This we don't get here. So, anyway, which one is regular for me? The imaging or the cool pictures? Well, the cool pictures not so much, but honestly, I'm a simple, you know, I'm satisfied by a lot of simple stuff because if I wasn't, I'd go insane with, you know, the lack of productivity. But I miss my old telescope. My Celestron C8 was like a beauty. This thing would have a narrow field of view. I mean, so you get a picture of Jupiter like this. And in this picture of Jupiter, I don't know if I'm looking at the red spot or one of the moons of Jupiter casting a shadow. But what you do is basically you take a picture that looks like shit, like this one here. Then you process the individual frames. You combine them, use another application to like do some processing. And then it'll spit out, hopefully, a nicer image like this one here. There we go. So that crappy, fuzzy video I just showed you, I'm going to show it to you again because I want to show you what happened. So, see, like pretty fuzzy. I know we're not zoomed in a lot. I don't even know how to zoom in on this with this particular program. I don't even know if this program will let me zoom in on it. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this program doesn't really let me zoom in. It basically, when I click zoom, it just resizes the window. So it doesn't actually let me get 200% zoom. I think I could try to resize the window to fit on my third monitor. But Windows usually gets a little funny when you start doing weird shit like that. Okay, so yeah, actually good. This helps. So here's the video of that particular Jupiter right there, right? This is on, like, in fact, this is on my current telescope, surprisingly, which is not made for planets. Then, after processing it through a couple of other programs, we do apply some heavy processing to it to get it to this state. You know, some people would make fun of this. Some people would say this is not that good looking. They wouldn't be wrong. But it's still better than this. First time I used a Olympus mirrorless camera to basically turn a video into a picture of Jupiter, and that came out pretty good. But I'm still happy because I got what I think is a moon here, or a shadow from a moon. And what I was doing was a while back, I was making like video clips to like use in arguments against flat Earth enthusiasts, where basically it's like, here's a picture of Jupiter, here's how I captured it, here are the conditions that allowed me to get that picture, and you know, just trying to, like, you know, basically make the case in a polite manner. But another reason why I need to have that backyard surveillance camera, you know, CCTV camera hooked up, is so that I can show people, you know, the mechanisms at work. Because like the way a German equatorial, and here's like an image of it, like an extracted frame when no processing is done. So you can see how, like, essentially by doing multiple frames, there's going to be slight differences in each frame that can be combined or merged. I don't understand how the process works. They call it lucky imaging. And it's basically like you splatter, it's almost like, you know, when you use a Gatling gun. You're going to fire off as many shots as you can in as short a span as possible. and then process it into something, you know, viewable. This is Mars. You can totally see that there's nothing there. My picture of Mars looks like one of the pictures of the dwarf planets. Like seriously, look up a picture of a dwarf planet and you'll see like some of them they got pretty good pictures of. A lot of them it's like a bright like red dot. Like you can kind of see the shading of the Martian surface like this. You know, but like I miss my Celestron C8. I'm seriously like I keep thinking about buying another reflecting telescope, but it's a whole other topic. Let's see what else we have. Okay, same shit. Let's see if we can find something cool. Sample 2023. Okay, so this site basically shown variations of. Okay, we got 15 pictures on the top screen. So in a moment we're gonna go and change it. So you see nothing yet, right? This one's not the best one, but you could actually it's not the worst one either. There you go. So you can definitely see that, right? See, that's the Veil Nebula right there. See, it's got those tendrils and it's like, you know, it's made out of gas clouds and shit, you know? It's, you know, it's space for you, right? And you can see how it, like, it swoops down here. You got this, like, arm over here. So another image where I would take multiple pictures of this target, which I already have, and stack them. But when I stack them, once again, I got to take dark exposure. Now, luckily, most of my pictures are taken with 5-minute exposures with the temperature set to, like, negative 15 Celsius. So we should be fine. You know, in terms of like if I put the lens cap on and I like, you know, just kind of take those dark exposures from my dark library. Now this is what Mars looked like when I was taking the video of it. See, like you can see the shaded bit right here. You can definitely see a darker and lighter area. So I had it in focus. I'm looking at the right target. It's in focus. Just there's not enough resolution to really work with. And even like on the telescope that has a narrow field of view, first time I sent a picture to my friend to show him what this stuff looks like, he's like, why is the resolution so low? I'm like, buddy, that's how it is. That's actually considered good or sufficient. Now, I have a folder on a network drive that should contain more astrophotography. In the meantime, we're going to stop imaging and we're going to move on to the next filter. We're going to keep the same settings. We're going to do it in a rapid fire derby at this point because we got so little time. Got to beat the clock. Okay, so we're going to do like a 2-second, maybe 1-second exposure. Then when it's done taking that first exposure, we're going to then cut it down maybe to half that time. Then we got to zoom in. I'm going to say, are we in focus? We probably are in as good focus as we would expect to be. But my OCD wants to do better. I may have made it worse just now. So if these 2 stars become 1 star, that's not good. I think they're actually getting a little bit more fine detailed. I think they are getting smaller, the stars. So we'll keep at it. I gotta say the auto guiding is working really good right now. I'm surprised. Maybe it's the lack of wind or something, but the auto guiding is working really well right now. So I'm gonna leave it. I'd say it may or may not be as good as I want, but I don't want to get OCD with the timetable I'm dealing with right now. So we're gonna bring it back to 18 seconds. We're now in the green filter. So yeah, you might be wondering, what do you mean green? So yeah, you've been seeing black and white images, but these monochrome images are gonna become color, and it's not gonna be false color either. Like it's actual real color. And the way we do that is I have a motorized filter wheel. Basically, it lets me swap between filters. And so, for example, if you take a black and white, and this is how Technicolor works. This is literally, if you look up, like you ever see an old movie and they say this movie's made with Technicolor, you can actually see, hey, what up, Keely Shout? Thanks for tuning in. It's really good to see you. And yeah, Voltide, that's actually literally Keely Shout owns that phrase. And I believe a Voltide is like when you go to a Mets game and, you know, everyone in this, you know, stands does that. It's cool. Yeah, so we're doing some astro imaging right here. At least we're gonna beat the we gotta beat the clock. So right now, we're doing 18-second exposures of a star named Attic, ATIK, and let's adjust the histogram. And yeah, you know, just some basic thing. Now I have a bad feeling that the green and blue filter are going to pick up a lot of background sky glow. Can't really see the sky yet, but my bright lighting kind of makes it hard to look out the window. But you know, we gotta beat the clock. We got sunrise coming, right? You know, look, I mean, well, it's not the sun yet, but this is now. And already, if I rewind it and forgive the pixelation, the sky is just starting to lighten up a little bit. Yeah, Ryan Roger Afty was here before. By the way, tomorrow, Ryan Roger Afty will be premiering the first episode of Reality-Based Gaming. I believe it's the first episode. So that should be fun. That's going to be 5 p.m. New York time, 6 p.m. New York time, 11 p.m. UK time. And, you know, just do the math on the time differential there. He left a little while ago. He's making more videos. You know, we know he's super duper productive. So that's where he's at right now. So in the next, like, yeah, like, that's like the next, like, 5:51. 20 minutes from now, the sunrise isn't even until 6 a.m. But in 20 minutes, this giant fusion reactor in space is going to be emitting some light that's going to mess my shit up. Nah, it's okay. But so anyway, and plus it's time to go to bed once the sun goes up, I guess. But anyway, the sky may already be lightening up. So I'd say 5 frames is enough. Let's move on to blue. And I'll show you some of the fruits of our labor since, oh wait, actually I was going to show multiple things to everyone. So good. Okay, so we got this folder with some images here. We got some old ones here from 2001. These are from my beloved Celestron C8. I missed that telescope. I tripped the mirror on it, and it's kind of tricky to get parts for it. I mean, it's not impossible, just tricky. So let's see if we can look at the post-processing imagery first. Boy, that sky is glowing. Oh yeah, this particular filter is out of focus. Right, we're gonna just. So anyway, whoa, okay, these must be the videos from the pre-processing. This is not actually. Oh yeah, okay. So I was capturing a series of videos when arguing with flat earthers. I was basically trying to prove that Jupiter has moons. So in this picture here, I know it's a little weird to look at, but you got a bright circle, that's Jupiter. Then you got dot, 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 and dot. These 4 dots are Jupiter's 4 largest moons: Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, and you know, the other one, Io. Europa, Io, Callisto, Ganymede. I don't know what order, but you know, those are the 4. And if I string these together in a playlist, we could probably like see the progression. So if I just really haphazardly take these, go like that. Okay, we got our pop-up playlist, and we just drag and drop it like that. Oh, that's stupid. Why would it do that? Why would it do that? That's dumb. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm making fun of this. So this program just decided to put the images completely out of order. I don't know why I would want that. So we're going to try dragging and dropping the first image, and hopefully they'll be in order. Okay, good. So let's see what happens when we cycle through. So I'm hoping to see that. I want to see these moons moving. Maybe they're not taking over a wide enough time span. But basically from the beginning of this playlist, and well, let's try that. Let's try the beginning of the playlist. We're going to go to the beginning and the end. We're going to skip straight to the end. So let's see. We're at the beginning. You see the moon's positioning. There we go. Different placement. See that? So when I put these in DaVinci Resolve, which you know, let's do it right now. Let's have some fun. And see this here? So this is out of focus. So we're going to bring it back into focus now. Oh, I forgot I'm doing 18-second exposures. So that should make it a lot of fun. So you can see one star that's out of focus right there. They're still out of focus, you can see. Now we try to find focus it 10 steps at a time. We can only go 5 steps at a time minimum, I think. Jovian moons. Okay, that was 2021. That was 10/2021. Okay, so I just imported the videos into DaVinci, and we're now just gonna dial in the final focus here. That's about as good as he's gonna get. So now we're gonna go back to 18 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, forget. Fire away. Oh shit, did I do auto guiding? Okay, good. I sometimes forget to do this. That's really... Oh, and you know what I did forget? Now, it's not critical right now. Oh, no, I didn't forget. Oh, wow, I'm actually on a roll here. I did not forget to set the temperature on the... That's great. Sometimes I forget that step. So anyway, let's get back to what we were doing on my primary monitor, which you can't see my primary monitor in its entirety. Whoops. Because it's an ultra wide... Oh, are these video files not compatible with DaVinci Resolve, or does DaVinci Resolve not like it that I'm... That's weird. I don't think DaVinci Resolve likes the format of these AVI files right here. I'm not trying to open up Adobe right now. I'm not trying to open Adobe. So I guess we're not going to combine them right now, but who am I kidding? I am going to try to open up Adobe. I don't want to, but screw it. We're going to open up Adobe and see if this works. So we'll do new project, Jovian Moons, 10/20/21. And then we could just say, it doesn't really matter. And then we can click that button and we go back here and we say, hey buddy, hey Adobe, can we just drag and drop all this crap into the timeline without putting it in the bin because I'm lazy? Ooh, see, the mouse is already like, I'm gonna kind of like lock up and freeze up for like a split second while I figure out what the hell is going on with these 324 AVI files. I'm afraid to let go of the mouse pointer right now. Whatever, let's just let go. I don't think I could touch anything right now. I don't think I could switch between... I could switch screens. I could do that. I could show you the... Wish I had something else on that screen right now. Yeah, let's just go and check on... Yeah, the focusing is questionable, and the background... Now, it's okay to have a lightly colored background. Like, if it's dark outside and you do a long exposure and you get a light colored background, that's not totally an issue. You can process that out, and that's okay. But in this case, if the sky is starting to glow twilight color, well, then at that point, it's like kind of pointless. It's just going to create inconsistent results. Yeah, I cannot tell if the sky is lightening up yet, but we're getting closer to that time. Probably shouldn't have done that. Let's see what Task Manager is doing. Windows Task Manager. Well, it's chugging along. It's doing stuff, right? I'm only using 16 gigs out of 64 gigs of RAM, by the way. And Adobe is just like, it's trying. It's doing stuff. Look, it's reading. There we go. 10 megabytes per second off the network. Bumped up to gigabit speed. So apparently the program did not like that. So let's try something else. There we go. That's how it's supposed to work. So you import your 10 files, then you put them in the timeline like that. And we're going to do that. We're going to do like maybe, could we do them all? We're going to try doing them all, even though that's probably not good, but we want to save effort. So all I'm doing is I'm dragging and dropping these into the bin. Okay, so it's doing that same thing it did before where the mouse pointer freezes up on us. But I should be able to let go of the mouse pointer. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't like it when you put the videos over the timeline, I think. What tough shit. How's the chat doing over here, guys? Yeah, right now, like I said, because I allocated my third screen, I'm using my main screen for the chat right now. Well, I'm glad you're having fun. Yeah. Generally speaking, you're absolutely right. You know, like, look, I'm the first person to say that to people in my tech support, times, Um, but that being said, I paid this computer. No, I'm kidding. I just recently put a new heat sink in the computer. That's kind of cool. I got rid of the liquid cooling. Well, I didn't get rid of it. I have it still, but I might use the liquid cooling unit, believe it or not, as a cooling device for my astronomy camera next summer. But in the meantime, I'm good. It's importing. Oh, look, my alarm clock is ringing, even though I don't have to be up for work. I do not have to be up for work today, thank goodness. Good, so we should be able to get together like a simple sequence where we can see the Jovian moons dancing, okay? Oh, and you know what's funny? I might have done it already. This video might be me doing this might be it. Now, since the video is not playing, maybe that video is corrupted. Yeah, nothing spectacular there. So we'll let it process. In the meantime, let's see what else we got. Let's see if we have something cooler. Oh, we got some solar processing here. Solar imagery. This is fun. Now, I'm not the best at processing solar data, but I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute by solar. Because, I have a dedicated, solar filter. So now, here's where things get tricky. I always forget how to do certain things in this. This is why I switched to DaVinci. So we want to like lower the duration or increase the speed. So maybe we want each of those to be like a second long. We don't even want them to be a second long, but let's just say we want them to be 1 second long, or maybe we want them to be like 0.5 seconds long each. We want a ripple edit. Good, that actually worked. All right, so we still need to make these shorter. So we're gonna do same thing, speed/duration. And I think it's like 0.30 or 0.29. Ah, shit. So remember, you have to do ripple or it doesn't, actually, it's just, there we go. There we go. So now we got, and if I export this, VLC Media Player will be able to accelerate the playback. So I don't actually have to like, get this perfect, but might as well do it here while we're here, right? So maybe we could just crank up the percentage of playback a lot. But still, I want this thing traversing multiple like shits like in a second. So we're gonna have to increase this by like maybe what, 1600%. Ripple edit, boom. See, now it's better. Okay, we're getting there. We're gonna speed this up even more. Okay, so maybe we do what, like 2800%? I don't even know if it lets you do that. Well, it looks like it's working. Now, right now, if I left this alone, it's a 2-minute sequence. So we maybe want to get this down to like a 1-minute sequence, if that. So let's see if we could double the percentage again. Let's see what it lets us do. So 28%. So maybe we do like 5600%. Ripple edit. Whoa, okay. Go to the home button. Good. Now, Control Enter. I think it is, or is it Control M? I always forget. Or is it Control M? Well, whatever. I'm just gonna go to the menu here and tell it to export it. Control M. It is Control M. So anyway, let's give that a second. I just want to make sure I go and save it to a folder that isn't sketchy. Yeah, sure. Why not? 24 frames. Okay, so the original video here is 720 by 40p at 24 frames a second. So we're gonna just keep those parameters. And we're going to call this Jovian Moons sequence. And we're going to save that straight to my E drive so I can open it really easily. Now, let's see how long this actually takes. Good. That's going to process very quickly. So in the meantime, I can actually already type in the file name and I can launch it straight into VLC as soon as it's ready. In the meantime, on the top screen, we can see, yeah, the sky is lightening up for real. Yeah, I can see the sky lightening up now. So I think we're going to just end that. And what I am going to do is keep the temperature of the image sensor at this current temperature. We're going to move to a hydrogen filter because that will actually block out a lot of light. And we're going to call this Dark 300, 1700, minus 15C. Getting back here. Let's see if we can see anything. Remember, let's do two things. Let's play it in a loop. And we'll crank up the speed. Wouldn't it be funny if this is one of the sequences where the moons don't move? Okay, so this one is actually useless because in the middle of this sequence, we actually have what we call a meridian flip. So the telescope has to like basically flip its orientation when you reach the center of the sky, or else the back of the camera bumps into the tripod. So I don't get a whole lot of movement here. Perhaps if I did a longer sequence over the entire night, which I probably have some shots somewhere, I could get, you know, show the movement of the moons. Like I can almost, I mean, you could sort of see the movement a little bit, but you know, I want to be able to differentiate it from the movement of the, you know, the sky, the atmosphere doing its twinkling routine. This is like sunset. The sky is light either because of atmospheric stuff or sunset, and then it gets darker, and this is like a whole night. This is when it crosses the center of the sky right overhead, and then this is when I fell asleep and didn't want to touch the telescope anymore, probably. So yeah, but like there should be some movement over the course of a given night, and then if you do multiple nights, especially if you have consecutive nights, you'll definitely get some movement. But even just having separate nights where the moons are in different positions, I think is a helpful way for like making an argument with a flat earth enthusiast. You know, it's like, that's the sun, by the way. This is what I was talking about when I said solar processing. So this is the result of stacking. That's why the edges are like this. When you look at the original raw data from this, it's just a fuzzy video. I might even have the fuzzy video here. So this is post-processing, or processed in general. I wouldn't really call it post. And then in this video file, which by the way, getting solar data is huge. That's a 3 gig file. This folder has like probably hundreds of gigs in it. It's super insane when you do solar imaging. So here's what it looked like when we started. So, or an example of what you start with. So you get this like thing where it almost like, looks like you have uneven contrast, because the solar filters, especially like the one that's cheap, which is $1,200, is going to have imperfections, and that's okay. You can process those out. You got some sunspots here, and you got these granulations. You got, I think they're called spicules, and basically when you take the multiple frames from this sequence of individual frames and you stack them, you can get detail like that. And this is like sort of like the magnetic fields of the sun doing their thing. So yeah, it's just a little example of the solar imaging we do. I hope that, you know, is kind of interesting. Now I'm going to prep the thing. Let's see how the chat's doing here. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to basically now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some dark frames. So I've already set everything up. Temperature is set. Where the telescope is pointing is irrelevant. In fact, we're going to park the telescope right now to the home position. Auto guiding is freaking out. Well, let's hit the stop button on auto guiding. We're going to disconnect the auto guiding software because we don't need it right now. Although we could capture some new dark exposures for the auto guiding. We could rebuild the bad pixel map if we want. Although I think the bad pixel map is fine. I'm not going to mess with it right now. But this program here, we do need to build up a new map. So we are going to do that. So in the meantime, we can close Stellarium. We can disconnect the telescope mount from the computer. I might even set a speed dial for the motorized focuser before I park that, because I do want to keep dust out of the mechanism. So we're going to go here. We're going to go open up the Pegasus motorized focus controller software. That's the current position. And we're going to call this the starting position, or we're going to call this the we're going to call this end. And tomorrow I could pick one of these speed dials at the beginning of my session till I get basically into the ballpark. But now we're going to bring the focus at the position 0 so that, you know, hopefully no stray light gets inside of it when I do the next step. Now, I can take a dark exposure by simply making sure my settings are what I want them to be, and then taking pictures and using them. But this program has a facility for automatically capturing, you know, dark frames. So what we do is we usually say capture dark, and I don't even know how many darks I should be capturing. Let's see how many darks. 20 to 30 dark frames. Generally speaking, more is better. When you stack your dark frames with your light frame stacking software such as DSS, subtracts the noise and the amp glow. So they say 20 to 30, so we're going to get 40. And because it's not going to warm up right away, it should be cool enough for it to capture the 40 frames. So this is what annoys me. I can put them in the capture folder or the dark library. Today, I'm going to put them into the capture folder because I feel more comfortable being able to retrieve them from a folder. So that's what we're going to do. And basically, with that, I'm about to wrap it up. Should I demonstrate this process on camera? You know what? Might as well. So I'm going to run outside real quick. And I'm going to just put the lens cap on the telescope. This is really why I wish I had the motorized focuser. And then we'll be able to, I mean, this is why I wish I had the surveillance camera outside. I got to get to bed. If I had the CCTV camera outside right now, I'd be able to show you what I'm doing right now. I could show you the astrophotography rig. I don't want to waste too much time derping around, but I feel like that would be kind of cool to show you guys. I should probably not drive myself insane looking for the CCTV camera footage, but let me see if I can find it. Actually, it should be in a really simple place to find. I always forget what folder it is in, but I can check really easily by just going into the application that takes the pictures. Okay, and then it'll tell me what folder it's saving the stuff in, I'm sure. It has to. Oh yeah, I hear a helicopter outside. Oh, here, it's in the E drive. It is in the E drive. Like, it's definitely saying that. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, good. So I'll play back some footage of the backyard equipment while I run outside. So just to give you an example, because, you know, I got you. So let's see here. I gotta make that thing go here. And I guess we got something from late June. Let's see what we got from June. I can't believe it's been that long. Good. Okay, that's about 30 minutes of footage. So, yeah, German equatorial telescope mount. Now, obviously, I might be looking at the moon during the daytime, but it's probably just me playing with it. And you can see how, like, as time goes on, it's doing that movement. Because what's happening is the Earth is rotating, and this thing's motorized to counter or to oppose the Earth's rotation, to cancel out the Earth's rotation. So that's what's going on there. We might have some nighttime footage. There we go. See? Now you can notice it's pointing straight up. Now there's also a spider here. See that spider? He's going to become part of the frame. In fact, during this video, I think I bring the spider into focus at various points. and then you can see it's sunrise, or that could be the night vision on the camera. Yeah, that shit's cool. How cool is that? So what happens is when this is like pointing straight up, it gets to a point where the back of the camera can bump into the tripod. So there's actually a mirrored orientation that it can basically move the counterweight to the left and move the scope to the right and still aim at the same target. And then of course, all the way up to sunrise, it'll still be pointing at the target with no risk of anything bumping into anything. So that's what's happening there. But yeah, in one of these videos, I actually have like a close-up of the spider. So assuming you don't have arachnophobia, that's our friend right there, the mama spider that probably is long gone. Yeah, this is a pan-tilt zoom camera. By the way, $100 camera, about $100. It's the cheapest PTZ camera that gives you the ability to control the zoom and the focus and aim it up and down that you can get. I was actually blown away by this camera. It's really cool. And it has power over Ethernet support. Let me make sure you don't have arachnophobia. Yeah, this rig, too much. That's the answer. No, I'm kidding. Jokes aside, if I was to do the hard math on it, I might have put like $5 grand into it. So let's just talk about the scope. I paid $2,500 for the scope. Now it's like $3,200 or some shit. It went up in price because of inflation and supply chain and yada yada yada. The piggyback scope on the back, that's the thing we use for the auto guiding, but it can be used as a standalone astrophotography lens. That was $400. The mount, I paid $1,600. I think it's now $1,700, but I paid $1,600 for the mount itself. And I was using that on my previous scope. My previous scope had more magnification, a bigger aperture, but it didn't use it used a reflection of it was a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope or a reflecting telescope, which they have their pros and cons. But they're really good for looking at planets and getting close-up shots of the moon. But you have to constantly or periodically recollimate or realign the mirror. So one of the reasons why I went from that $200 scope, which was it was an $800 scope that I got for $200. The reason I went from that scope to this one is because this had a wider field of view, so it's more forgiving. Like when I was taking a picture of the nebulas before, you want something that isn't going to get blurry from the slightest gust of wind. And so that was my purpose. On the other hand, I lost the ability to take pictures of small galaxies and planets, which I love taking pictures of planets. But at the time I bought this, planets were out of season. Like literally, they just weren't coming up at nighttime. So it worked out. But yeah, that's the rig real quick. So I'm going to run it and get the dark exposure thing going. All I got to do is basically I'm going to run outside. I'm going to put a lens cap on the front of the big scope and the little scope. And mainly we're going to tell the software to take pictures, you know, with the dark setting on or whatever. And I mean I'm sorry, it's going to take pictures using, there we go. This is the cover I'm using when it rains, right before a storm. Oh yeah, the motorized focuser, that's like another $300, you know, like it adds up. I don't think these folders are in chronological order. Oh yeah, that's me working on the scope, so this would actually simulate me actively working on it right now. All right, I'll be right back. Alrighty, if you're still with me, buddy, we did it. So basically, I went out there, put the lens cap on the front of the big scope and the little scope. And you know what's interesting? The moon. Oh shit! And there's a planet out there. See, I need to get a planetary scope. So let's get a look at the stellarium real quick, because I saw some interesting things. Yeah, tell me about it, right? Well, I bought some of the things piecemeal. Like I say, I started off with a $200 scope, and on my Instagram, which I could probably find a link to, I should probably put all my social medias on my YouTube, because I don't mind my YouTube people seeing all my social media. I mind a lot of real life people seeing my YouTube. So like, I don't mind like people seeing my shit in one direction, but I mind people seeing the other direction, which is kind of backwards compared to a lot of people. I can't see my mouse pointer right now. Okay, well, now I can see it. Okay, so anyway, if we go and we look at the Venus is in my eastern sky. I see a bright ass star right now, and actually we could have aimed at Venus, but all we would really see is a bright ass, you know, circle. You know, like we wouldn't see a lot, but with the right, in fact, if I had a Barlow lens or extra magnification on the current scope, and don't even get me started on like the process. You would think it's simple to just put an extra zoom lens on the back of the scope, but it changes the focus, it changes the balancing of the scope, because you got to have it balanced on that mount. And then when you want to go back to your normal configuration, you got to like be prepared to like put everything back the way it was, and you get better at it, but it's annoying. But on my somewhere on my probably on my Instagram, I should probably just pull it up real quick. I got pictures somewhere, at least, where you see this crescent shape from Venus, and that's something that the Celestron C8 was really good at. But that's what I'm seeing through my window right now. Like, I'm seeing that one point of light. Now, when I was looking at the scope, okay, so when you see that video, you're facing like northeast, basically. Well, when I'm looking at my telescope from the front of the rig, which is facing the camera, and I look to the, you know, that way, basically, because like my backyard is behind me. The moon is right here, so we could have actually gotten some really like bright lunar shots. I mean, the sunlight is hitting it from this side right now, and it would be crisp. The atmosphere is cool, and it's like really good seeing conditions. Even though we're hitting sunrise, the seeing conditions are really good for the moon. And earlier this evening, I took a lot of lunar pictures while it was over here, so it would have been like here. And at the time, it's still kind of orange and rising. Make that a little bigger, even though I can make sure we can make it full screen, but just for reference. And so I was imaging it for a little while, like from here to like when it started becoming cleaner, you know, like here maybe. Whoops. Okay, I lost it. You get the idea. It was higher up in the sky, because the lower in the sky an object is, the more atmosphere there is between you and the object. So that makes it challenging. Whereas if something's directly overhead, you'll usually have the better the seeing conditions will be better. But yeah, hopefully you're not glued too much, because I'm going to bed soon. But also because, you know, if you're in my time zone, man, you should be in bed unless you're getting up for work. But jokes aside, yeah, so calibration, you know, like, yeah, like it could be hit or miss. Some things are surprisingly easy, especially when I showed the plate solving before, where, you know, I basically take a picture and you have the points of light in there. And basically what you do is, after you take that picture, you open up an application that looks at the picture, looks at the points of light, and compares them to the constellations in the star maps. And then it's able to determine if you're looking at the target that you think you're looking at. And if not, it'll tell you where you're aiming. It'll update the coordinates in the software, and then you could tell it to recenter. And in a more like automated setup, you would actually have it where it would automatically do that. It would take a picture, compare it to the star map. Then once it determines where it's actually looking, it would send a command to the mount saying recenter the mount. Then it would take another picture, check. It would verify that it's centered. And so I could automate that pretty trivially, but because of like the occasional weird issue that we see, like the gremlins, I like keeping the applications separate in the tool chain. So, you know, just like it's better for troubleshooting, but long term, I definitely want to combine more features into one application, or at least have one application controlling different applications. And then beyond that, autofocus. Now that's a whole other gremlin. Frankly, I should just buy the $4,000 motorized focuser. There's this American company, this guy who pretty much makes them out of his own workshop. And like, if you need a custom adapter to put it on a specific telescope configuration, the guy will work with you and make it happen. But like I said, you could be spending $4,000 on that particular unit. He's got a version that has a motorized rotator. So if you're, let's say you're looking at a galaxy and you want it to be like centered or the corners are bumping and, you know, not looking right, you could control that all from the computer. But frankly, I just want a really precise motorized focus. I want it so that when the camera is moving in and out, there's no like shaking whatsoever. There's no backlash between the gears. You know, and that's sort of what that particular, I think it's called the Nightcrawler. Yeah, the Nightcrawler motorized focuser. And I tried buying an Italian knockoff that looked similar, that actually performed pretty well, except when it was really cold outside. Then it was inconsistent. It was very weird. But holy cow, well, thank you for tuning in from that part of the world. That's super cool. So anyway, getting back to up here, we have the scope covered, but, well, it's still a bright white image. Now, that's because of the last exposure. So for reference, let's do a short exposure, like 5 seconds. Now, a little trick I like to do sometimes is put the hydrogen filter up in front of the sensor, even if I'm taking a dark exposure, because if there's any light bleed, the hydrogen filter will block out light. But I did cheat just now, not really cheat, but what I did was I put the weather cover on top of the telescope. You know, that cover that I use when it's raining and whatnot, or when I'm not using it at all, or when I expect it to rain, I put a cover on it. It's basically like a rubberized canvas with Mylar on the inside to give it good thermal properties. And I put that on the back of the scope, kind of just like, because I didn't want to like heat it up, but I also wanted like to prevent stray light from getting inside the imaging train, because I don't want to have to redo these dark exposures. So as it stands right now, let's just verify that the cooling unit is currently still able to maintain the temperature. Now, because I put that heat cover on there, that might cause a problem, but, you know, I mean, like I said, I got to keep stray light out. I want to double check on Google if dark frames, sharp cap, HA filter. I want to see if that causes a problem. Okay, well, I don't know. It looks like it should be able to do this. If I put the luminance, you know, okay, I'm going to leave it on luminance filter, even though that's completely, it blows my mind. I feel like, you know, screw it. We're going to manually pick hydrogen. I feel more comfortable blocking out as much light as possible in case there's any light scattering. So bottom line is, okay, we put the filter on. Now, we just tell it to start, and it's already in the middle of the first frame. It's going to do 40 of them. And then I can use like 10, 20, or 30 of them when I do my image processing later using Deep Sky Stacker, which is basically like I have it opened already on my backyard laptop. And, you know, this is a bad example because you can see these streaks. These are actually the hot pixels. And these are the stars that it stacked correctly. And these are the hot pixels that became streaks. So that's why we're taking darks. We're taking darks because this will happen if we don't. So that's what's going on here. And like I said, it's just going to subtract the difference from the image sensor. Because look, I mean, it did some stacking here. I think this was the one where it gave me an error message about the stars. Because it got confused on what a star was versus a, you know, whatchamacallit. But let's see, let's play with this a little bit. This is why I like the Subaru Observatory software better. Because that program, I can actually see results when I play with the histogram. I don't really see like a lot. Sometimes with this one, I find myself having to hit the undo button a lot when it doesn't do what I want it to do. But we're gonna tinker with this right now because maybe we could figure something out. See, like right there, that's like useless. See, I want to darken it up, but I want to like darken parts of it up, and I want to brighten up other parts. I also don't like the controlling the slider on this one. I find it somewhat imprecise. But you get the idea. You sort of see what I'm trying to do here. And you can see like more and more. So now we can see like the Pac-Man shape kind of here. Oh yeah, so now here's the important thing. We're using a black and white filter. And if you ever look up how Technicolor works, essentially we can have a black and white filter, but if you take a picture and you put a red filter in front of it, right? It's like a red piece of glass. When you process it, it'll still look black and white. But essentially, any part that's white, picture that as being bright red. And any part that's like gray, picture that being like a shade of somewhere between dark red and like, you know, black. And then any part that's actually black would come up as black because really every camera is just measuring brightness. And in this oversimplified scenario, each pixel is being measured from 0 to 255. 255 is white, 0 is black. And if you do that with color filters and you have 3 separate sets of photos that have different brightnesses for the color white, because you have a red, green, and blue filter. If you have a lot of, you know, blue in an image, then those pixels are going to show up wider when you're using the blue filter, whereas the red filter, the blue pixel is going to show up darker. But when you take those 3 color images and you put them on top of each other, it's almost like, it's literally like Technicolor. I kid you not. Like, I mean, oversimplifying, but, you know, if you Google how does Technicolor work, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I'm going to go to bed. New York time. 6:12 a.m. I'm a real degenerate. I go back to work on Sunday. On Sunday morning, I gotta be at work at 5. I gotta be up at 5 a.m. I gotta go to work at 7 a.m. on Sunday. But you know, it's still Friday morning, so you know, there's one more morning. Maybe I can still get my schedule in order. I can't oversleep too much because I gotta be on Ryan's show. If you know Ryan, who dropped in the chat earlier, he will be you know, doing a show tomorrow. Around, like I say, 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. my time, New York time. So, you know, Google the difference of UK time, 11 p.m. time to your part of the world, and you get the numbers. Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, yeah, old TVs, that's an interesting one. That's more like, I think that's more like a gimmick, but interestingly, like the early picture tube cameras worked the same way. So, like back in the day, a TV camera was actually the reverse of a cathode ray picture tube, and it would do the same thing. Light would hit it, and it would convert photons into electrons. It would just be like the reverse version of a TV. And to get color, they would have like a spinning color wheel, basically, and it would rapidly, like at like a known rate, like let's say 60 hertz, you know, 60 times a second or whatever it was, it would alternate between red, blue, green, red, blue, and green. And somehow the picture tube knew, or they had some analog method of like switching between the color modes so that it would, you know, measure the intensity of red. It would measure the intensity of blue and green. It would do it like, you know, within a fraction of a second. And essentially the way TVs work, everything's like lines updating, like so they could trick the eyes into seeing motion and color when they're really just messing with the lines. That's a whole other topic, but essentially there's some principles rooted in that. DLP projectors, similar principle, but once again it's the reverse of the reverse. And but yeah, if you ever look up like some of the Hubble raw data, or look up filter wheel on Space Telescope, James Webb Space Telescope filter wheel, like it's literally the same. Like on the back of my telescope you could see something that looks like the drum magazine on a Tommy gun, and you know, it's like basically that's where my filters are. So whereas in normal photography, you put your filters in front of the camera, in astrophotography, we put our filters on the back of the camera, on the back of the telescope. We want them to be in front of the image sensor. So this is like literally like in the space telescope, this rotates, and these, you know, I have hydrogen, like one of the filters I used for the Pac-Man Nebula was hydrogen alpha. And that's basically a very narrow sliver of the red part of the spectrum. It blocks out pretty much a bunch of visible light. It blocks out a big chunk of the visible light spectrum and pretty much a ton of light pollution it blocks out, but it lets in a very specific wavelength of red, which is like a shade of ruby red. And so they also might have that. They'll have infrared filter, which interestingly, I have an infrared filter that's for planetary imaging, but it does wonders on nebulas. Like it blocks out most of the light pollution and yet lets in all of the details that I care about. So that's a filter I don't presently use on the current filter wheel, but when I effect repairs to a larger filter wheel, I may bring that back into vogue. And you know, like a lot of these space telescopes, they'll have like this is way more complex than what I have. You know, filter wheel, mine is like this. See, like camera goes on the back of something like this, and they got different sizes, and I have pictures somewhere of me doing something like this. See? That's the filter wheel. That's basically what mine looks like, except I have 36mm filters, and it can hold 7 of them, I think. Yeah, 7. But if you put 2-inch filters, it'll only store 5 of them. So, in fact, that looks like my filter wheel. So, just give you like a little reference there. 5 position, 2-inch, but okay, yeah, they got different ways of doing this. But I digress. So, any questions, anything at all, please let me know. You know, I really appreciate your visiting and potentially hitting that like button. I'm sure you sufficiently enjoyed what you were watching. It was my pleasure. And yeah, if you get bored, check it out. I know people have things to do. Of course, if you're subscribed to Ryan, you can always check it out in the replay. But yeah, like I said, I gotta clean my desk. This is gonna be really shameful. I'm gonna show you my desk real quick just to see how messy this shit is. I'm gonna clean my desk, and then I'm gonna have some video game hardware. I'm gonna have like this flash cartridge, which I'm going to explain during the stream why it's not inside the actual plastic cartridge enclosure, but basically it's an N64 cartridge with a micro SD card slot on it. I mean, they have one that's more expensive. I bought the Chinese knockoff because I wasn't going to pay $300 for something like that. This thing is cool. I'm going to showcase this. It's like a device that you can use to backup or play Game Boy games on your PC through the cartridge. Like, it's almost like a cartridge slot for your PC or Mac or Linux machine. I basically bought it just so I could back up the game save data. I don't even care about backing up the whole game, although I do. I was more concerned about backing up the game save data, because if I'm going to change the battery on a 20-year-old cartridge, or even older, I would much like to have that game save data backed up first. And even if I don't change the battery, it makes sense to have the game save data there, right? And just things like, this cool Xbox controller, the Logitech Precision wireless controller that used to be the best thing since sliced bread, but joystick drift is definitely an issue. This one's in good condition, but I have another one that needs some TLC. And just kind of hop around, and I mean, let Ryan set the agenda, but I have places to hop around. I got a Game Boy Micro I'm going to show off and talk about why I love it, and how I use it. Nintendo 3DS thingamajig. We got some things planned, and maybe at one point I'll buy a new arm. And this thing works okay, but I basically had to add another C-clamp so the metal down here doesn't get... Oh, okay, so that's the C-clamp that's supposed to make this reinforced. So I need to order a bigger C-clamp for this, that's for sure. But that's a different topic. For now, yes, I really will end this now. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Let me just, how do I do this here? Yeah, so anyway, with that being said, Mr. Dusty Lamborghini, hey, that's not coming up on the screen. Yeah, I have to like readjust all of this here. But really, thank you for tuning in. May the force be with you. Have a great evening, or whatever, things. And for anybody else watching on the replay, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. And for now, I shall end the transmission as soon as I find the button that ends transmission. So one thing I got to test out is when I hit the end stream button, how long does it actually take? Oh, and side note, good news is, yeah, it looks like it's well underway. It took the first picture, so it's going to take like another 40 pictures of just blackness on the background. And I am worried. I do see some glowing on there, but that's the amp glow. That's okay. That's the amplifier glow, basically. And there we go. See those white dots? Those are hot pixels. So basically, like some of them are like, there's one white dot down here that you can barely see. And if I stretch the histogram, we can see a bunch of them. So these are the things that we're going to be using in post-processing to get rid of those hot pixels in the, final images. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow after Ryan's stream, or whenever I do it, I'll record a video showing the progress. So anyway, yeah, with that being said, really this time I'm going to find the button. I don't even know where it is right now. Here it is. It's in the LIVESTREAM app. All right, we got it. All right. Let's do this here. Let's see here if I'm curious if this cuts me off mid-sentence or if it actually ends the stream at the point that I tell it to end the stream. So anyway, for all watching, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And for now, we shall